The notion that the spirit jellyfish found around the lands between are the ghosts of dead human children, which for some reason appear as jellyfish, is one of the most pervasive and perplexing myths in the Elden Ring fandom. The idea that the ubiquitous spirit jellies are actually juvenile ghosts is almost universally accepted, with no evidence backing it whatsoever. There is simply no reason at all to believe this claim, but almost everyone does, and I can't understand why. First of all, the game is very clear that the spirit jellyfish are jellyfish, not spirits. They're just called spirit jellyfish, likely due to their translucent appearance, just like the real-world ghost jellyfish. There are two different item descriptions that each conclusively prove that the spirit jellyfish are living animals with physical bodies. First, there's the item that introduced many players, including myself, to these creatures, Aurelia's Ashes, which is labeled Spirit Jellyfish Ashes on the inventory screen. That is Aurelia's physical body. Secondly, there's the Jellyfish Shield, which is a physical object that the Tarnished can hold. There are some non-physical armaments in the game that can be equipped in the same way, like the Cipher Pada or the Dragon Communion Seal, but those each have no weight. The Jellyfish Shield is described as extremely light, which explains how they float through the air, but it does still have some weight. And if that's not conclusive enough for you, this shield blocks 100% of physical damage except for piercing attacks because its flesh is supple and easily pierced. Yes, flesh is the word used in the item description. It can't get any more explicit than that. The spirit jellyfish are flesh and blood animals, not ghosts. So we can say with complete certainty that the common claim that the jellyfish are the ghosts of dead children is undeniably wrong. But I expect some people will respond by saying that they could still be dead human children that were reincarnated as jellyfish for some reason. And I don't know of any conclusive proof that would debunk that idea, but we still wouldn't have any reason to believe it. All of the purported evidence I've seen put forward to back this ghost children idea is either entirely wrong or completely irrelevant. The main thing people tend to focus on is the fact that we can find the tombstones of Aurelia and Aureliette, our spirit jellyfish companion and her sister. And then people somehow jumped to the conclusion that if they have tombstones, they must have been human? Why? Where did everyone get that idea? I don't even see how that's a conclusion someone could jump to, especially considering how many non-human animals have tombstones in the real world. And you want me to believe that in this high fantasy world of coexisting draconians and Newmen, where a troll and half-wolf are best friends with an Empyrean, a misbegotten weaponsmith becomes a father figure to a lost human, a demigod learns magic from rock aliens so he can keep riding his beloved tiny horse, and everyone's favorite demi-human follows the protagonist all over the continent. In that world, you're telling me that only humans would have tombstones? And I suppose the giant tombstones we see all over the map are for humans too? In fact, we know for certain that interment is not a distinctly human practice in the lands between, because we literally see beastmen entombed in Farum-Azula, a city said to be the mausoleum of an ancient dragon guarded by chosen beastmen. But that implicit assumption that only humans would have tombstones memorializing them, or at least that jellyfish wouldn't, suggests a couple other foundational assumptions which that bigger assumption is built on. First of all, it means assuming that spirit jellyfish either can't or wouldn't create tombstones for one another, which, yeah, I'm inclined to believe that's probably true. We don't ever see any of them wielding tools after all. Then again, there are two weaponsmiths we encounter in this world, and they're both mythical creatures forging weapons to aid in subversive plots to kill God. So I'm not ruling anything out. More importantly, though, we would also have to assume that no humans, trolls, demi-humans, misbegotten, or anyone else would carve tombstones for spirit jellyfish who died. And that's just an absurd assumption to make. As I mentioned already, people in the real world create tombstones for their non-human companions, and in Elden Ring there's a whole race of snake people. The Albinorics ride dire wolves because their legs don't work, and Latenna calls her wolf Lobo her other half. Godfrey has his lion companion Sarash literally attached to his back. No chance people aren't making tombstones for their non-human friends in the lands between. I promise you, they are. The next thing people tend to point out to support this idea is the fact that the jellyfish speak English. completely overlooking the talking snake, wolf, troll, and so on. In Dark Souls, we talk to a cat, a mushroom, an ancient serpent, an unseen NPC that people typically assume is a crow. Let's not pretend that speaking English is a human trait in FromSoft games. Hell, two of the best friends the Tarnished can make are living jars.
I was created to be a warrior vessel.
Oh, hello again, cuz. I'm happy you came back.
Oh, and let's not forget the talking turtle pope.
Greetings. Do you need anything?
Another claim I've seen a lot of people make about the spirit jellies is that they always show up around graveyards and catacombs, and that's just not true at all. They hang out all over the place. Some of them are around graveyards and catacombs, sure, but they're also floating around random parts of Liurnia and Limgrave, the frozen lake in the mountaintops, the ancestral woods. Pretty much the only part of the map where you won't run into them constantly is Caelid. Fextralife, in addition to quoting a fan-made magic card for some reason, claims that they're found everywhere except the underground. But nope, they're there too. And the big mystery proponents of this myth often claim to be answering is the question no one was asking: why there are no children in the lands between. Well, where were the children in Lordran, Drownlake, and Lothric? Other than the Painter in the Ashes of Ariandel DLC, I don't remember encountering any children in the Dark Souls trilogy. Other than a couple notable exceptions, there are no children in Yharnam or Ashina. I don't remember any children in Boletaria either. The absence of children in Elden Ring isn't a mystery to be solved. It's just standard FromSoft world design. So let's review the facts. What we know about the spirit jellyfish is that they're sapient living animals with physical bodies. They're capable of speaking English, and at least a couple of them were memorialized with tombstones after they died. You could leap to the conclusion that because they have coherent thoughts and speak English, they must have been human in a past life, and they still remember that life for some reason. But the simpler and more straightforward conclusion to draw is that they're just sentient animals that speak English, like the cats and crows in Dark Souls, and of course the giant tortoise in Liurnia. And that's kind of the point. A lot of people seem to have gotten sad about Aurelia's quest when they encountered the myth that she's the ghost of a human child, but Aurelia was always a tragic figure, said to be searching for her lost home but bravely spewing poison at our enemies when summoned. That's information we have immediately upon getting her ashes, but it seems like for most people, Aurelia's story didn't become sad until they thought she was human, which is weird. And considering all the themes about the persecution of non-humans in Elden Ring, like trolls and misbegotten, I think Aurelia's quest is another instance of FromSoft making a point about interspecies empathy and compassion. It's pretty sad that almost everyone seems to have taken the exact wrong message from it.
Dear sister, you find me here. No time to waste. Let's see the stars.